Your 40s hit different, don't they? One day, you're cruising through your 30s thinking you've got this whole adulting thing figured out, and then suddenly you wake up and realize you're officially middle-aged. Your back hurts from sleeping wrong. You make that weird grunt sound when you stand up from the couch, and somehow you've become the person who gets genuinely excited about a good vacuum cleaner. But here's the plot twist nobody prepared you for. Your 40s are actually when your money can start working harder for you than you work for it. If you crushed those financial milestones in your 30s, congratulations. You've built the foundation. But if you're like most people and you're looking at your bank account thinking you should probably have more zeros by now, don't panic. Your 40s are when the real wealth building magic happens, assuming you know what moves to make. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about how regular people can build extraordinary wealth without sacrificing their sanity or their relationships. If you're tired of feeling like you're spinning your wheels financially while everyone else seems to have figured out some secret money code, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if this video helps you see the light at the end of the financial tunnel. Now, before we dive into these milestones, let me address the elephant in the room. Your 40s come with a unique set of financial pressures that would make your 20-something self weep into their ramen noodles. You might be dealing with aging parents who need financial support, teenagers who somehow require more money than small developing nations, and the creeping realization that retirement isn't some distant fantasy anymore, but an actual thing you need to prepare for. But here's what makes your 40s different from every other decade. You're finally earning peak income, you've hopefully learned from some of your earlier money mistakes, and you still have enough time for the compound interest to work its magic if you get serious about it now. The question is, will you use this decade to build wealth, or will you let it slip by while you're busy putting out financial fires? The first major milestone you need to conquer in your 40s is having 6 times your annual salary saved for retirement by age 50. I know that sounds like a massive number, but let's put this in perspective. If you're earning $80,000 annually, which is roughly the median household income for people in their 40s, you need $480,000 in retirement accounts by your 50th birthday. Before you start hyperventilating into a paper bag, remember that this includes everything. Your 401k, your IRA, any pension benefits, and even that old retirement account from the job you had 5 years ago that you keep meaning to roll over. The reason this number matters so much is that it puts you on track to have 10 times your salary saved by retirement age, which is what most financial experts agree you need to maintain your lifestyle without working. Here's where the math gets interesting. If you hit that 6 times salary milestone by 50 and continue contributing just 15% of your income, compound interest does most of the heavy lifting for the next 17 years. That $480,000 could grow to over $1.6 million by age 67, assuming modest 7% returns. Suddenly, that 10 times salary goal doesn't seem so impossible, does it? But if you're behind on this milestone, and honestly most people are, your 40s become crucial catch-up years. The good news is that once you turn 50, the IRS lets you make additional catch-up contributions to retirement accounts. We're talking an extra $7,000 annually in your 401k and an extra $1,000 in your IRA. That's like getting a bonus opportunity to turbocharge your retirement savings just when you need it most. The second milestone is achieving complete debt freedom except for your mortgage. Notice I said except for your mortgage because let's be realistic here. Most people in their 40s still have 15 to 20 years left on their home loans, and trying to pay off a mortgage while also maximizing retirement contributions and possibly funding college educations is like trying to juggle flaming chainsaws while riding a unicycle, but everything else needs to go. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, that personal loan you took out to consolidate other debt 3 years ago, all of it. Your 40s are when you should be in full wealth building mode, and debt payments are like having a financial anchor tied to your ankle while you're trying to swim to shore. Let me paint you a picture of what debt freedom looks like in practical terms. Let's say you're currently paying $600 a month in car payments, $300 for student loans, and another $200 minimum on credit cards. That's $1,100 every single month that disappears forever. Over a decade, that's $132,000 that could have been building wealth instead of making other people wealthy. But here's where it gets really painful. If you invested that $1,100 monthly in index funds earning 8% annually, after 10 years, you'd have over $200,000. After 20 years, you'd have over $650,000. That's the real cost of debt in your 40s. Not just the money you're paying now, but all the compound growth you're giving up for the next 2 decades. I learned this lesson the hard way when I was 38 and still had a car payment because I convinced myself I deserved a nice car after getting a promotion. That $400 monthly payment seemed reasonable at the time, but when I actually calculated what that money could grow into over 20 years, I realized I was essentially trading a comfortable retirement for the privilege of driving something shiny. I paid off that car in 8 months and drove it for another 6 years. Best financial decision I made in my late 30s. The third milestone is building what I call a fortress emergency fund. In your 30s, 6 months of expenses was probably adequate. In your 40s, you need to think bigger. We're talking about 9 to 12 months of living expenses, possibly more if you're self-employed or work in an industry prone to layoffs. Why the increase? Because your 40s come with more expensive emergencies. Your house decides the roof needs replacing right before your daughter's senior year of high school. Your teenager needs emergency orthodontic work that insurance doesn't fully cover. Your aging father falls and needs home modifications so he can age in place safely. Or maybe, and this is actually a good problem to have, an incredible investment opportunity comes along that requires quick action. According to recent Federal Reserve data, the median emergency fund for people in their 40s is about $14,000. That might sound decent until you realize that the average monthly expenses for households in this age group are around $5,000, so most people have less than 3 months of expenses saved, which is nowhere near adequate for this stage of life. The key is keeping this money somewhere it can earn decent interest but still be immediately accessible when life throws you curveballs. High-yield savings accounts currently offer around 4 to 5%, which isn't going to make you rich, but at least helps your emergency fund keep pace with inflation while it sits there waiting to rescue you from whatever crisis comes next. The fourth milestone might surprise you: developing multiple income streams beyond your primary job. Your 40s are when you should be thinking strategically about income diversification. Not because your job is necessarily at risk, but because relying on a single source of income in today's economy is like building your house on a foundation of wishful thinking. This doesn't mean you need to become some hustle culture influencer working 18 hours a day on 17 different side businesses. It means thoughtfully developing additional revenue sources that align with your skills, interests, and available time. Maybe it's rental property income. Maybe it's consulting work in your area of expertise. Maybe it's dividend income from a well-built investment portfolio. Or maybe it's royalties from that book you've been thinking about writing for the past 5 years. The beautiful thing about building multiple income streams in your 40s is that you have decades of experience and expertise to draw from. You're not starting from scratch like someone in their 20s. You understand your industry. You have professional networks, and you've developed skills that other people will pay for. I have a friend who's a software engineer at a major tech company, and in her early 40s, she started doing weekend consulting work for smaller companies that couldn't afford full-time senior developers. What started as occasional weekend projects eventually grew into a steady side income of about $2,000 monthly. That extra $24,000 annually goes straight into her investment accounts, essentially giving her a 30% boost to her wealth building without requiring her to leave her day job. The fifth milestone is getting serious about tax optimization strategies. In your 40s, you're likely in your peak earning years, which also means you're probably in a higher tax bracket than you've ever been before. The difference between paying 32% in taxes versus 24% on that extra income isn't just about this year's refund. It's about having significantly more money available to build wealth over the next 2 decades. This is where maxing out tax-advantaged accounts becomes crucial. We're talking about contributing the full $23,000 to your 401k plus another $7,000 in catch-up contributions once you hit 50. Add in $6,000 annually to a Roth IRA, and you're sheltering over $36,000 from current taxation every year. But tax optimization goes beyond just retirement accounts. If you're self-employed or have side income, there are additional strategies like SEP IRAs or solo 401k plans that can shelter even more money. If you own rental property, you can depreciate the property to offset rental income. If you have kids in college, there are education tax credits that can save you thousands annually. The key is understanding that tax planning isn't just about April 15th. It's about making strategic decisions throughout the year that minimize your lifetime tax burden while maximizing your wealth building potential. For many people in their 40s, working with a CPA or tax professional becomes worth the investment because the strategies available at higher income levels can save you far more than the professional fees cost. The sixth milestone is something most people completely ignore until it's too late: long-term care planning. Here's a sobering statistic that might keep you up at night. 70% of people over age 65 will need some form of long-term care services during their lifetime. The average cost of a nursing home is now over $7,000 monthly, and most health insurance plans, including Medicare, provide very limited coverage for long-term care. This isn't about being pessimistic about aging. It's about being realistic about the financial implications of living longer than previous generations. If you end up needing 3 years of nursing home care in your 80s, that's potentially a $250,000 expense that could completely wipe out your retirement savings and leave your spouse financially devastated. Long-term care insurance is one option, though it's gotten more expensive and less comprehensive over the years, right? Some people choose to self-insure by building larger retirement account balances specifically to cover potential care costs. Others explore hybrid life insurance policies that include long-term care benefits. The critical thing is addressing this in your 40s when you're still healthy and have options. Waiting until your 60s when health issues start appearing can make long-term care insurance prohibitively expensive or even unavailable. It's like trying to buy flood insurance after the hurricane warnings have been issued. The seventh milestone is creating what I call your financial legacy plan. This goes beyond basic estate planning documents, though those are obviously important. This is about intentionally designing how your wealth will impact your family and potentially your community for generations to come. If you have kids, this might mean funding 529 education accounts that could cover not just college, but graduate school or professional training. It might mean establishing custodial investment accounts that give your children a head start on building their own wealth. It might mean teaching your teenagers about investing and money management so they don't make the same financial mistakes you did. But legacy planning isn't just about your immediate family. Maybe it's about supporting causes you care about through charitable giving or volunteer work. Maybe it's about mentoring younger people in your profession or community. Maybe it's about building businesses or investments that create jobs and economic opportunity for others. The point is that your 40s are when you start thinking beyond just accumulating wealth for your own security. You start thinking about how that wealth can create positive impact that extends far beyond your own lifetime. This shift in perspective often leads to more thoughtful financial decisions and a greater sense of purpose around money management. The eighth milestone might be the most important one for your long-term financial success. Now, developing what I call wealth building momentum. This is the point where your money starts growing faster than you can spend it, even when you're not being particularly careful about every purchase. Here's how you know you've achieved wealth building momentum. Your net worth increases more from investment returns than from your contributions. Your emergency fund earns more in interest than many people save in a year. You start getting excited about market downturns because, they're giving you the opportunity to buy investments at discount prices. This momentum doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of consistently living below your means, maximizing tax-advantaged savings, maintaining diversified investment portfolios, and giving compound interest time to work its magic. But once you achieve it, wealth building becomes almost automatic. I remember the exact moment I realized I had achieved wealth building momentum. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was checking my investment accounts over coffee like I do every few weeks. My portfolio had grown by more in the previous month than I had contributed in the previous 6 months. Not because the market had done anything spectacular, but because compound interest had finally reached that inflection point where the snowball becomes an avalanche. The 9th milestone is mastering the art of strategic spending in your peak earning years. This might sound counterintuitive in a discussion about building wealth, but your 40s are when you need to find the balance between saving for the future and enjoying the present. The goal isn't to live like a monk for the next 2 decades. It's to spend intentionally on things that actually improve your life inflation trap that keeps while avoiding the lifestyle most high earners broke. Strategic spending means understanding the difference between expenses that enhance your life and expenses that just make you feel temporarily better about your life. A family vacation that creates lasting memories and strengthens relationships is strategic spending. Upgrading to a luxury car because you think it makes you look successful is lifestyle inflation. It means investing in your health through quality food, regular exercise, and preventive medical care because those investments pay dividends for decades. It means spending money on experiences and relationships rather than accumulating more stuff that will end up in garage sales or storage units. It also means being willing to spend money on services that free up your time for more valuable activities. Maybe that's hiring a house cleaner so you can spend weekends with your family instead of doing laundry. Maybe it's paying for meal delivery services during particularly busy periods at work. Maybe it's hiring a financial planner so you can focus on your career instead of trying to become an expert in tax law and investment management. The key is making sure that every significant spending decision aligns with your values and your long-term financial goals rather than being driven by impulse, social pressure, or the need to project an image of success to people whose opinions don't actually matter. The 10th and perhaps most important milestone is mastering what I call intelligent financial automation. By now, you should have your money working so efficiently that wealth building happens without you having to think about it every single month. We're talking about setting up systems that are so bulletproof that even if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, your financial plan would keep running smoothly. This goes way beyond just having your paycheck auto-deposited. We're talking about creating a financial ecosystem where money flows exactly where it needs to go without requiring your constant attention. Your emergency fund automatically maintains its target balance. Your retirement contributions increase every year without you having to remember. Your investment accounts rebalance themselves. Your bills get paid on time, even when you're on vacation in a place where Wi-Fi is considered a luxury. I know this sounds like financial science fiction, but the technology exists right now to automate almost every aspect of your money management. The question is whether you're using it or if you're still manually moving money around like it's 1995 and you're balancing a checkbook with a pencil. Here's why this matters so much in your 40s. You're juggling more financial complexity than you've ever dealt with before. You might be managing retirement accounts from multiple employers, college savings for multiple kids, investment accounts, rental properties, side business income, and possibly even helping elderly parents with their finances. Trying to manually manage all of this is like trying to conduct a symphony orchestra while blindfolded and riding a roller coaster. Smart automation isn't about being lazy, it's about being strategic. Every minute you spend moving money between accounts or trying to remember which bills are due when is a minute you're not spending on higher value activities like growing your career, building relationships, or actually enjoying the life you're working so hard to fund. The 11th milestone is something that might sound counterintuitive, but is absolutely crucial. Learning how to strategically spend money to buy back your most valuable resource, which is your time. Your 40s are when you finally earn enough to start making this trade-off, And it's often the difference between people who build substantial wealth and people who stay stuck in the middle class forever. Look, your 40s are basically your financial championship decade, and these 11 milestones aren't suggestions. They're your playbook for winning the wealth building game while you still have time on the clock. The beautiful thing is that unlike your 20s when you were broke and your 30s when you were overwhelmed, your 40s give you the perfect combination of earning power and financial wisdom to actually make this stuff happen. Sure, you might be dealing with teenagers who think money grows on trees and parents who suddenly need help with everything, but you're also finally at the point where compound interest becomes your best friend instead of some abstract concept from a finance textbook. Don't let this decade slip by while you're busy putting out fires, because the decisions you make right now will determine whether you're sipping margaritas on a beach at 60 or greeting customers at a big box store because you ran out of money.